Hi, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jeremy Nicholson, and this is another Screen Matrix video post on the marketing industry today as I see it. This one is about 10 marketing cliches that I hate. You regularly see posts crop up on LinkedIn and other marketing content channels with one of these cliches in it. What they tend to illustrate is the writer's lack of knowledge about the marketing industry or special pleading for an otherwise insupportable pitch. Like all cliches, they are lazy and show a lack of intellectual rigour. Yes, I'm a grumpy old marketer. Because marketing is based on culture, everyone is an expert. Everyone's got a view on it. So the reason that these tired half-truths wind me up is they get repeated by non-marketers like CEOs and hiring managers and salesmen trying to sell marketing systems. And you have to wearily nod and smile and then explain what the truth is before you can actually move on. So in an attempt to widen the spread of true marketing knowledge, here are my top 10 most hated cliches about marketing. First one is PR is free advertising. Who's heard that? Well, tell that to CMOs spending 30 grand a month on PR agencies. In the sense that word of mouth or a positive mention in editorial does not impose a direct cost on the organisation, yes, it's free. However, the use of public relations, which includes reviewers, influencers and organic social media, as a tactic takes up significant resources, and if you hire an agency, the financial costs are considerable. It may be worth the cost, it may not. You can only tell by running the numbers. But if you leave your PR costs outside the mainstream marketing budget because you believe them to be either inconsequential or not part of marketing, you'll never know. Next one. Marketing is an investment, not a cost. Obviously. Except for this. Have you ever bought bad marketing services or products? Have you ever tried selling advertising to someone who's been burned? They know it's a cost. So good marketing is an investment, just like good property, good equity or good raw materials. Bad marketing is a cost. Next one, marketing is not advertising. Well, again, except for a lot of businesses, the everyday activity of a marketing department or an agency is advertising campaign management. So whilst I'm a great believer in running an iterative marketing strategy and regularly examining the KPIs and assumptions of the business, that's maybe 20% of the monthly tasks of running a marketing function. Most of it is advertising. Next one, you don't turn off the engines because you are flying. That's a sort of summary of a quote ascribed to Lord Leverhulme, the boss of Lever Brothers. He was supposedly talking about why he carried on spending money on advertising soap powder when they already dominated the market. What it means is you don't turn off the marketing taps just because you are in a steady state phase in the product life cycle. And as far as that goes, like all cliches, it's true. However, all products have a life cycle which follows a curve. And if you keep your ad spend high when the product is in the descendancy of that cycle, then you're fighting the law of diminishing marginal returns. So just like landing an aeroplane, you don't turn the engines off, but you might back off the gas. So, again, like most cliches, there's an element of truth to it. Next one. If you can make £1 coins for 50p, you wouldn't need marketing. This is ascribed to Lord Sugar. And it's generally used as a kind of way of dissing the marketing industry. Like many of aspects of Lord Sugar's public persona, there's a lot of kidology in there. Amstrad used to spend money on advertising, just like Lord Sugar's treatment of his staff is probably not as binary as it would appear from The Apprentice. His right-hand man for many years, Nick Hure, was his PR guy. So, he obviously sees the worth of it. He's a clever businessman. So although it's not meant to be taken seriously, if you examine this cliche, you can make £1 coins for 50p or less. The Royal Mint does it every day. it has a legal monopoly. So if you wanted to change the law and become the supplier, you would need lobbyists, PRs, designers, sales staff. So yes, in a word, marketing. Next one. Digital is accountable. Ish. Media statistics have got they've had a wonderful history of vagueness. Now Google, Meta and the others are continuing this time-honoured tradition into the digital age. Just consider this. You're buying your stats from the same people who sold you the ads. At least Jikra and Nielsen had a semblance of objectivity, even though they were being paid by the very people who were using their data to tell you how good they were. If you want evidence of this, just go to your Meta analytics page showing the number of hits you get from social media on your site, and compare that to the number of hits you get on your site when you look at your web analytics. So you can check it against your web analytics, your Google analytics and the Meta analytics. Do the numbers match? No, they don't. Take a look at those hits. How many come from Russia or China or various other places that are never going to buy your product? How many come from sites set up specifically to bump up the numbers? Every month my Google business account tells me I've been contacted by a whole bunch of potential customers and I haven't, in fact, in America, the Association of National Advertisers, the ANA, found that 23% of programmatic dollars, that's about $20 billion out of 83 billion, was wasted. The only advertising cliche which does hold true is that a quarter of the ad budget is wasted, but the problem is finding which quarter. It's always been thus. All you should ever use figures like that for is comparison. You can compare the last quarter with the present one, the last year with this year. You can compare champion and challenger campaigns. You can do A/B splits. You don't use advertising metrics to gain absolute data. Right, next one. Marketing automation is the future. Right, well, there are a number of vendors who'd love you to believe you can automate your marketing and remove that human element, increasing productivity by an order of magnitude, and you get rid of those pesky execs who keep asking for pay rises and to work from home. Well, of course, there's certainly fat to be cut and productivity to be gained by automating delivery and scheduling, etc. But the whole edifice relies on cloud architecture. So customer data, promotional content and such like that you hold in that way, it can be combined to deliver a greater quantity and velocity of messaging. But I doubt whether it can actually do very much for the quality of messaging, but we'll get to that in a minute. However, what if there's an external problem that gets in the way? So what if you run out of stock of an item? That would mean you're over trading, means you can't satisfy orders. It means that you're basically going to piss off a lot of people who probably won't come back to you. So SaaS marketing automation vendors do not universally develop APIs capable of synchronizing data from the e-commerce related channels within the business. I'm talking about logistics, manufacturing, warehousing, accounts, ERP systems, that sort of stuff. So your cloud-based marketing automation system is just another silo of information. So yes, you can do CRM campaign automation at a basic level. You can achieve that with a cloud-based silo of external data. You can automate slugs of copy and stick them in places and stuff like that. However, as a lot of my career has been in this area, and I know the reality is that automation means integration, and integration is the future, but it's expensive and it's hard. Next one, marketing is a science. Well, there's been quite a bit about this recently. Just last week on a LinkedIn article, there was Byron Sharp wrote a post about it. Now, I'm actually in favour of the work of organisations such as the Ehrenberg Bass Institute, and specifically Byron Sharp and his book about branding. It's long overdue for the scientific method to be applied to marketing, as it has been to other aspects of business. He refers to this as marketing science and describes marketing as a skill-based craft. Now, there are areas of marketing which are, to my mind, more of an art than a science, or even a craft. This isn't restricted to creative messaging, although that's one such area, and a big one. The key to science is repeatability. So you drop a weight off a raised platform anywhere in the world, and it descends at a rate of 9.81 meters per second squared. If you give a marketing brief to 10 different creatives, you get 10 different results. If you run the same ad campaign in 10 different locations, you'll get 10 different sets of results. So science, is different from belief. Sometimes in marketing, the best you get to work with is belief. So even so, there are areas, as I say, which benefit greatly from the application of the scientific method. Analysing past results obviously is valuable, data analytics, testing, benchmarking, and so on. Just not the future-facing creative and cultural aspects as they relate to messaging and media. So I agree with Mr. Sharp and the Ehrenberg Bass Institute, which I'm sure will be a great relief to them, when he calls marketing a practice, a creative craft. However, it can also be better than that. At its best, I think marketing is the essence of entrepreneurship. It requires a mind which, while existing in the present, can envisage the future and create the processes to bring that future into being. Marketing may be a creative craft, but creativity can be an art. So, next one. AI will transform marketing. Again, there's a great blog post by Tim Harford on this recently. I'll put the link to it in the comments section. It pretty much contains my own view on this subject. And what that is that it's equivalent to when spreadsheets first started to come into play for modelling alternative scenarios. Their limitations quickly became apparent. So AI, just like spreadsheets, is a tool, and it's only as good as the individual wielding it. So, people like Pablo Picasso, Enzo Ferrari, Irving Walsh, Danny Boyd, they're creative. AI is not creative. Already we're seeing AI generated content, and it lacks any form of nuance, wit, wordcraft, or other features which aid communication. AI will not deliver memorable advertising copy in the same way it will not write a best-selling novel. People who can't write or are lazy will use AI-generated copy, and for that reason the result, because they won't check it, will be lazy or poorly written copy. What it may do is automate and refine the repetitive tasks within marketing in the same way that spreadsheets did with number-based disciplines like accounting. And those things like data analytics and artwork production, email, social, search engine management, looking for slugs of copy, seeing which perform the best, social media management, where you're dealing with small slugs of copy and you're increasing the velocity by multiple postings in multiple channels. Targeting criteria for large data sets based on real-time feedback. Yeah, things like that. There's definitely a role for AI, and a large one, and it can help us be more productive. It will increase the quantity of communication. I'm not sure that's a good thing. It won't increase the quality. It will increase the velocity of campaigns, which helps in terms of analysis. It will do some of the things we already do better and faster. Now, you may call that transformative. Will it be transformative to the same degree as the printing press, the railways, television, or the internet? Will it result in the decimation of marketing jobs? Probably not. Next one. Content is king. This one annoys me. Years ago, there were two means of direct response advertising. direct mail and cold calling on the telephone. And now they each relied on specialist copywriting, and because they've got their own very specific burdens. The exposure time is very limited. They burn leads. So these tactics, although they're still used by some categories of business, such as the hostility to cold calling, that in my view rightly it's decreased in popularity. And what came along in its stead was digital delivery via email and the web, and that has a longer shelf life, and it's combined with exposure, but it's a non-confrontational or not particularly invasive exposure mechanism, and it has a far richer delivery experience. You know, you can just click, give over your credit card details. You don't have to be on the phone and give your details over to someone. So this led to the vendors of digital marketing systems, which have become far more powerful than these big businesses now. And so these systems they publish white papers saying things like cold calling's dead, online content's the future, download our white paper, content is king. And it sounds quite compelling until you drill down into it, because if anything in marketing can be said to be royalty, it is the product or service for which the customer is expected to pay. So words and pictures, video and sound, content merely describes it. You can do it well, you can do it badly, but if you work on the product or the service experience before you work on the content. So that's 10 marketing cliches I hate. I hope that's been enlightening for you. Thanks for listening. I've added links in the comments section to the content I mentioned and credited the authors. If you'd like more of this content, please hit the subscribe button and register on Screen Matrix for updates. Thanks for listening. Bye.